Very brave to stick your head above the parapet. Why are you here?
Well, just basically to make sure that what I've said in the papers isn't actually what I've said.
Okay.
Sorry, that was wrong. Oh.
No, it's fine.
No,
So you reckon that you've been what's been said in the papers
things
is
in the
inaccurate?
papers is very inaccurate. Yes, I've not said anything.
All right. Well, let's clarify a few of those bits today. So this is August 31st.
Yes.
So you drove to your friend's house.
Yes.
You parked your car outside. This is the car in question.
Yeah.
You went from there to a bar, had a couple of drinks, a few proseccos, and then
Yes.
after that you went to this nightclub in Wilmstone. This is Symposium nightclub.
Yes.
And there's a big group of you, and Wayne Rooney is in a group nearby you. Did you know who he was?
Well, I obviously knew who it was. Yeah, we wasn't interacting. It was just more drinks we had. We kind of overflowed to different part of the bar and then ended up
Talking
in the same
to each other.
Yeah, in the same area.
Because there's been reports that obviously you've been at the centre of this media storm, and there's been lots of reports that actually this is you've got previous on this, and this is what you do. That you go.
You do laps.
You do laps
Oh, yeah.
of clubs looking for
Heard
footballers, and so is that what would you say to that? Is that not true?
No.
Okay.
I can't. I don't know who's writing all this, but
Have you ever been out with a footballer before? Have you ever met a footballer in a club before?
Yeah.
So you have been out with footballers before?
Yeah, just...
Do you think that's where they got their previous...
I think maybe they've done a bit of digging, but other than that, there's nothing... It's not something that I do.
So have you... So I mean, that is obviously something that's, for us to hear now, is quite an important part of the story, is the fact that you have in the past dated footballers. So when it comes to that particular night in question, I've got to ask you, did you have your eye on him?
No, not at all.
Why?
Why? I wasn't aware of anything that in the surroundings. Really, it wasn't anything in question. It was just we just fell into talking to each other in the company that we was in, and that was the top and bottom of it.
And so that's fair enough. OK,
Yeah.
I mean, you're a group of mates. He's got a group of his mates. You've got your mates. You're all in a club. You're all chatting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Wayne Rooney. That's fine. You're quite obviously attracted to footballers, as you've said. Is that not true?
Well, no, that's not true. I'm not just attracted to footballers. I think that's just kind of something that's been portrayed purely because of who he is and how the media's lit it up.
But you've been out with footballers before?
Previously, but not solely footballers.
OK. So you then decide, and this is the bit I think where it begins to roll slightly out of control from from their marriage point of view, is the fact that you end up in the car together.
OK, yeah.
So you've left your car at your mate's house.
Yeah.
And so how come you ended up in the car together? Whose idea was that? What was the conversation?
Basically, we just got a cab, and then because it's a bit of a whirlwind, really. There was no conversation. We just ended up at my car from getting out of the cab, and then obviously.
But it does take it to that next stage, doesn't it? It's not just chatting mates, or he's not looking for a new friend. You're probably not looking for a new friend. It's you're in a car together with a man that's married. I mean, my thing would be, as a female, as a sisterhood, I wouldn't get in a car with a married man.
But then I was a couple of drinks down.
Even then I wouldn't.
Yeah, but then at the end of it, that wasn't discussed as what was going to happen. So in my eyes, I've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, but you got in a cab with a married man. You got in a car with a married man.
But if I got in the car with you, I don't think I'd be all over the newspapers.
Yeah, I think you probably bloody would.
No, I mean, like...
I think my wife would be all over you, that's for sure.
I didn't mean that. I mean, kind of, if it was just a general person, I don't think it would be as portrayed as this.
But it's still question. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It would be in the newspapers as Phillip Schofield is in a car with a woman who is not his wife, having just picked her up in a club.
Just tripped myself up there. I meant any general married man. If it was anybody else, it wouldn't be an issue.
But it would still be the same. It wouldn't be an issue publicly, but morally, it would still be the same issue.
No, because it's been blown out of proportion. What was about to happen, well, apparently going to happen.
Well, you said I think he was unsure of what we were doing as I was. What were you doing?
Driving down the road.
If the incident, which we can't talk about, hadn't happened, you'd both continued in that car, what would have happened? Where were you going? What were you going to do?
Go home.
I think we spoke very briefly at the beginning of this about the reports in the newspaper, and it's hard to understand because they are reported as quoted directly from you, and you can explain this afterwards, were, he kept admiring my clingy top and asking what size they were, saying, are they real? We had a kiss, a hug and some banter. Harmless fun.
Never said that.
So where does this direct quote come from?
For one, I had a T-shirt on, a baggy T-shirt. For two, I've not kissed and I've not cuddled him. And if that would have happened, I think there would have been a lot more coverage of that because we was in a bar. So then words haven't come out of my mouth, and that's being dealt with.
But you spoke to the paper after this happened?
After I'd spoken to Colleen, I'd spoken to the newspaper because there was a story that had been run, and that's when I'd spoken to her. Okay. Before I'd spoken to just to try and clear my name, but obviously with all the stories out there,
and if that is true and you have been misquoted, then that's
being dealt with. Well, yeah, that's being dealt with.
So do you feel like you're something of a scapegoat here?
Well, yeah, because I just feel like I'm being thrown under the bus with all the quotes that are being kind of published. Anything I do say further is just adding, well, fueling a fire really, because they're never going to get rid of those quotes.
No,
which are always the headlines. So
of course,
which is going to attract.
damaging.
Yeah.